Hi there, this is Harry and welcome back to my English lessons where I try to help you to speak better English and to use better English. Well, we're going to talk about words for bad in English, or ways to say bad in English. And what we're specifically referring to is not just bad words, we're talking about bad service, or in particular bad customer service. So ways to say bad in English, or when we're referring to a bad service or bad customer service. So you might have a situation when the service was so bad and you say to your friend, wow, I'm never going to use that company again. The service is so bad. So that service is so bad. It's terrible. So let's look at other ways in which we might describe it. As always, I'm going to go through them one by one, and then I'll give you some examples. Some of them very informal, and we'll cover those as we go through them. So let me give you some examples. So the first one is poor. Well, a poor service doesn't mean it doesn't cost a lot of money. A poor person has no money. A poor service just means bad, okay? So you could have a poor service on the internet, yeah? So you log on and you're trying to get your colleagues on Skype or whatever it is, and there's a lot of breakdowns, or they can't see you, or the picture freezes. It's, oh God, this internet is so poor, yeah? The service today is very poor, or the connection today is very poor. So you can refer to it in that way. If you get a poor service from a company, it just means the response is bad. Perhaps when you try to get onto their internet site to send in a request for something, it breaks down, or it hangs, or you just can't get in. Yeah, so that's a good example of a poor service. Or indeed, if you do manage to get onto the website and you send an email requesting whatever you're looking for, and you get no response after 1 day or 2 days, you might regard that as a poor service, because in the modern world we're usually looking for something to be very prompt. We want service like that, and if we don't get it like that, then we automatically say it's poor. So poor is not always so bad, okay? It's just, there are degrees of how bad things can be. But if we use the word atrocious, well, atrocious is a really strong adjective to describe something that is bad. So you go into the restaurant, you order the food, and when it comes, it's cold, it's lumpy, it doesn't smell so well, it certainly doesn't taste as it's described on the menu, and it's just absolutely atrocious. So you complain about the food. Or the food might be good, but the service you got was terrible. The waiters come to you after 15 minutes sitting at the table. They sort of throw the menu across the table at you. They don't, greet you or anything like that. And they come back then another 10 minutes later and they take your order, and then they go away. And then, it seems like a lifetime before the food arrives and the plate is half dropped in front of you. It might taste very well, but the service was atrocious. And when you fill in that form that they often leave on the table in front of you, you make sure to tick the box to say, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. I certainly wouldn't come back again, because you believed the service is atrocious, really, really bad. And another word similar to atrocious is terrible. So it could be terrible service, atrocious service. The service in the restaurant was terrible last week because there were so many people there. It was crowded. They didn't have enough waiters and waitresses, and usually it's pretty good. So you never have had an opportunity to complain before, because usually you go there and everything is good. So, it's not the worst you've ever had, but the service was terrible. I mean, overall, the service you got was really terrible. If we want to use the word unprofessional, now, unprofessional can mean lots of things, yeah? So professional usually means really tight and accurate and very, very good. And unprofessional would be the opposite. So perhaps if you were going to a legal firm, a lawyer, or you were going to an accountant, or somebody who you'd expect to keep your information private, well then, if they disclosed your information to somebody else, well then you would have reason to say that service is very unprofessional. Yeah. So if they mention your name to somebody else, or indeed if they mentioned somebody that you knew to you when that person isn't there, well, then you would consider that service to be very unprofessional. So if you went into an accountant and he's asking you about your business, how's the business going and what's happening, and you're telling him that things are a little difficult, but things are looking okay, and you've got some new accounts, and you're just talking to him about getting your accounts finalized for last year, and he happens to mention, oh yeah, Mike in the high street, yeah, his business is really in trouble, and you happen to know Mike, but you don't expect the accountant to tell you. Maybe Mike might tell you, but maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't want people to know. So you go out of the office thinking, if he tells me about Mike, what is he telling Mike about me or other people? So from that point of view, you might classify and regard that service as very unprofessional, an unprofessional way to do it. Because if you give information to people like that, they should keep it quiet. The next two words would also describe poor service: horrendous and appalling. Now, these words can always also be used for describing other things because they're adjectives. So we could talk about the weather. And if I was to use all these adjectives, I could describe the Irish weather very well, because yesterday it rained all day, so it was horrendous. The weather was appalling, okay? But if we're talking about service, then of course we had horrendous service, appalling service. So usually a service that doesn't meet your expectations or doesn't meet the service that you had expected to get. So it could be in the local supermarket. So perhaps you're standing in the checkout queue for a long, long time, and there are maybe 3 or 4 other checkout lines, but there's nobody there. So the line is getting bigger and bigger, and people are getting more and more impatient, and people are just muttering, and there's a little bit of annoyance, and people are trying to get the manager's attention to see can they put somebody else on one of the other checkout lines. So they are talking to each other. Isn't this service? It's appalling. It's always the same here on a Friday. They never have enough staff. There are always too many people. I think I'm going to have to go to another supermarket. It's horrendous. It's appalling to have to wait so long. We are spending good money in this shop. You'd think the least they could do is have enough people on the checkouts. They don't even have an express checkout. I mean, every supermarket these days has an express checkout line. I think they're going to put one in. I heard they had a few problems. So, people are trying to make some allowances for it. But yeah, they're getting a little bit annoyed or browned off, as we say, because the service is appalling or it's horrendous. Okay, if we use the word unacceptable when we talk about service, unacceptable service. So unacceptable means something that you are not prepared to accept, or something that somebody shouldn't have to accept. It's an unacceptable service. Okay, so if you're applying for let's say, to renew your passport, and usually when you renew the passport, it's only once every 5 or 10 years, so you don't have to do it so often. You go to the passport office and there's a big notice that tells you that there's a delay expected of 6 to 8 weeks. Wow. So you look at this and think, this is just totally unacceptable. What am I supposed to do? I've got a holiday booked for the end of the month, and here we are at the beginning of the month. If there's a delay of 6 weeks, I'll have to cancel the holiday. And there's no contact number, so you go back home, you log on to the site, and you see the form you have to have, and then at the end you see a little pop-up which says, in the case of emergency, please contact this number. So at least there's some place to ring and complain. But overall, the service that you have seen is totally unacceptable for a government department. The passport office, delays of 6 to 8 weeks, posting in your passport, completely unacceptable for you, completely unacceptable. Now, as I say, there are many, many ways in which we can describe bad service. So we can say that the service is shocking. Yeah, very British English. It's shocking, a shocking service. I don't know what I have to do. They get plenty of money. God knows they charge enough, is an expression you'd often hear from people. But this service is just shocking. Yeah, I'm just going to go somewhere else. So the person just walks out of the shop and never to be seen again. Shocking. So something bad. We can also say words like lousy or crap. That's another word you'll often hear. So lousy, very, very informal. Oh, what a lousy service. What a crap service. Yeah. So we could use that to describe perhaps the bus service. This is a really well used situation and an area where people always complain. Public services, particular public transport. You're standing at the bus stop, and the classic situation, you look at the timetable and the schedule, and the bus should have been here 10 minutes ago, but it's not. And then you look around, the 5 or 6 or 8 people, yeah, this service, it's lousy. I mean, they never have enough buses, and guess what? One bus will come and there'll be 2 of them together. And as you look around the corner, 2 buses are coming together, the same number. Some hold up somewhere. Perhaps it was traffic, but this all adds to a bad service, a lousy service, a crap service. So these are the situations when we would usually use those words. So lousy or crap. We wouldn't say shocking, because it's nothing shocking about it. In fact, you're used to it. So all you're doing is repeating something that's every time you get here, it never changes. You come to this bus stop, you're going to wait. The bus that you expected to get, it'll always be late. The one you get, it will be delayed. So you're never quite sure which bus you're getting. So it's a lousy service, it's a crap service. And what's the point of complaining? Because they're not going to do anything about it. Okay, they'll make excuses that it's the traffic, it's too slow, the government haven't approved the bus lanes, too many people in cars, whatever the excuse is, it's never going to change. So every time you go for that bus, the service is going to be crappy, it's going to be crap, or it's going to be lousy. We can also talk about a service being subpar. Okay, now par is a golfing term. So if anybody plays golf, there's a certain number of shots you get to get the ball into the hole. So if it's a par 4, you have 4 shots. But if it's subpar, it's below that. And when we talk about a service being subpar, it's below what is expected. Something below what is expected. So if you expect this type of service and the service doesn't meet your requirements, then you can describe it as a subpar service. So it could be just simply getting your clothes from the dry cleaners. You're busy and you don't have time, so you run in on your way to work, you drop in jacket or coat or trousers, whatever they happen to be, you get your ticket and you're told they'll be ready for collection tomorrow afternoon. So on your way back in the afternoon, the next day you call in, but the clothes are not ready. In fact, they can't even find them. And they say, look, just leave it with me. Can you call back tomorrow? So next day they say, they're here, but we haven't got them finished yet. So they'll be ready on Friday. So you come back on Friday and they're there, they're ready, but it's been a week longer than you had expected. So you could describe that service as subpar, something below what you had expected. Now, interestingly, if you play golf and you, instead of being a 4, you get a 3, that's really, really good. That's a positive. But when we talk about subpar in terms of service, it's really, really bad. So even though the word par is connected with golf, if you get something at 2 or 3 in golf, you'll be celebrating for weeks and weeks and weeks. But if you get a subpar service, you're going to be complaining for weeks and weeks and weeks. Okay, in the next 3 words, we can take them together: disappointing, mediocre, and inadequate. So when a service is disappointing, it just leaves you feeling sad and unhappy about it. There's nothing you can do. Just a very disappointing service. I'll give you a good example. I buy my books from a online bookstore because I think you get better value and you can always get books that are slightly out of print. But I was buying a collection of 4 books in about one story, so they were connected. So there was no point reading one if I didn't read the other 3 books. But I got 2 of them, and then the second book didn't arrive in the time that I thought, and I was waiting. I didn't want to start the other books because they'd be out of sequence. So I checked it online and they said, yes, it gives another 10 days. It should be there. 10 days, no sign of the book. And then there was another 5 days. And after about 20 days, the book finally arrived. and I found that the book had been posted from Melbourne in Australia. That's sort of crazy, so the service there for me was really disappointing. I wanted to start the books and I couldn't start them because if I started, I'd be out of sequence with the books, and I like to have all of them there together. So for me, the service was not only disappointing, it was totally inadequate. It didn't meet my expectations. And when something is inadequate, it doesn't get you what you want. An adequate service is you getting the books when you expect to get them, or getting the service completed when you expect to get it, and anything below that is inadequate. It's the opposite. It's not what you need. It's not what you expected. So it's a disappointing or an inadequate service. Okay? And then when something is mediocre, mediocre is just acceptable, but just about. So what was the performance like? Mediocre. They didn't play great. They didn't play so badly, but it wasn't something exciting. It was mediocre. So we can say the same when we talk about service. It might be acceptable, but nothing great. And as we say in English, nothing to write home about. It was just a mediocre, middle of the road type of service, not something that would make you feel as if you were something special, or that they really wanted your business. It was just a mediocre service. So it could be the takeaway. When you want something, you expect to get it within a reasonable amount of time. So you're ordering the pizzas or whatever the food happens to be for the family meal, and it doesn't arrive on time. So the family are getting a little bit edgy. You're getting a little bit edgy. People are saying, where's the food? Would you not ring them again? And so everybody's just annoying you, and you're tapping your fingers on the table and looking at your watch and looking at the mobile phone. And then eventually, ding dong, the bell rings, and there they are. So you give the guy the money, but you don't give him a tip because the service was really mediocre. It should have been there 30 minutes before that. Okay, so another way to refer to bad service. Okay, so there are words and expressions connected with bad service. Let me give them to you one more time. Poor, atrocious, terrible, unprofessional, horrendous, appalling, unacceptable, shocking, lousy, below par, or crappy service, disappointing, inadequate, and then finally mediocre. So all of them connected with bad service. Some of them more formal than others, some of them informal, but will give you lots of opportunities. If you unfortunately suffer from a bad service, at least you'll have many ways in which you can describe it. Okay, great. Well, that's the end of this particular lesson, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get out of it what you want. If you have any questions, then you can contact me, www.englishlessonviaskype.com, and I'm always very happy to hear from you. And as I said before, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get to watch this whenever you wish. Okay, well, thanks for joining me, and join me again soon.